But over that time, the water cure philosophy gradually lost out to more modern medical beliefs. And in 1914, the Jackson Health Resort declared bankruptcy. For a few months around the end of World War I, the Army used the building for a psychiatric hospital. After that, various others tried and failed to revive the old health spa. Not until 1929 did a man arrive on the scene whose wealth and fame and knack for publicity would usher in a second golden age for the Castle on the Hill. The man was Bernard McFadden, truly one of the 20th century's great eccentrics and father of physical culture. Born in Missouri in 1868, he was an early advocate of bodybuilding, or physical culture as many called it. McFadden himself had used bodybuilding to rescue himself from a sickly childhood, and in 1899 he published the first issue of Physical Culture magazine, largely as a means of promoting an exercise machine that he had invented. Although many of McFadden's beliefs put him at odds with the medical establishment, he, like Dr. Jackson before him, was a great believer in a proper diet, heavy in fruits and vegetables and light in meat and potatoes, and he opposed the use of alcohol and tobacco. He also believed that the human body was nothing to be ashamed of. He even had a statue made of himself, clad only in a jockstrap and sandals. By the time he first arrived in Dansville, he was the head of a multi-million-dollar publishing empire. His best-selling magazine, True Story, can still be found on newsstands. Purchasing the old Jackson Health Resort, he renamed it the Physical Culture Hotel. The locals would soon be calling it simply the PC, and in no time, with the help of a heavy publicity campaign in McFadden's publications, the rooms were filled to capacity. Thanks to Bernard's deep pockets and talents for promotion, the resort would thrive, despite the hard times of the Great Depression. Although much of his empire would fall victim to the economy, he made certain that the Physical Culture Hotel continued to prosper. It was perhaps his most prized possession. During the McFadden era, the resort was a hotbed of social activity. Many was the evening that the sound of dance band music, played on the roof during the warm summer evenings, drifted down the hill to the ears of villagers. The patients often came down the hill too, sometimes to cheat on their diet, sneaking a quick ice cream treat from the local soda fountain. McFadden's hotel often attracted the rich and the famous, knowing that their privacy would be preserved as they spent a few days of rest and relaxation at the PC. Essentially, the Physical Culture Hotel was two businesses in one, a resort hotel for the wealthy and a medical facility for those in serious need of therapy. All the while, Bernard came up with creative ways to publicize both the hotel and his general philosophy of physical culture. There were, for example, the so-called cracked wheat derbies of the 30s, marathon walking sessions that typically ran from New York City to Dansville, led by McFadden himself, now in his late 60s, and accompanied by dozens of physical fitness enthusiasts of all ages and both sexes. Later in life, to demonstrate how fit he was despite his advanced age, McFadden put on even more amazing publicity stunts. The most famous occurred on his 81st birthday in 1949, when for the first time in his life, he took up parachute jumping. As thousands of spectators watched, he took off in an airplane from the Dansville airport and leapt into the blue, landing safely in an alfalfa field. Bernard McFadden once predicted he would live to the age of 125. When he died in 1955, he was merely 87. Ownership of the resort passed to a New York City hotel owner named William Fromchek, who would rename the facility Bernard McFadden's Castle on the Hill. It would continue to operate for another decade and a half, but with each passing year, patronage of the facility continued to dwindle. The public simply had more choices for what to do with their spare time. When on Labor Day of 1971 the hotel closed for the season, It turned out to be the last season. When Fromchek died the following year, everything that wasn't nailed down was sold off, and the once proud resort building became an empty husk. Since then, the property has undergone several changes of ownership, and trespassers and vandals have taken their obvious toll. Still, experts have found the basic structure to be sound. With enough funding and enough determination, the rehabilitation of the venerable building is still a viable possibility. Like the thousands of people from across the country and around the world who once crossed its threshold, Dansville's Castle on the Hill might yet earn a new lease on life.